Podcasting from Heroes Media Group with real, relevant, and raw opinions. This is the College Sports Hour with your host, Clint McPherson, and co-host, Greg Dixon.
Welcome back, everyone. This is episode 15 of the College Sports Hour. I'm your host, Clint, and I'm sitting here today with my partner in crime and co-host, Greg. I want to be the first to welcome you back. What's up, brother?
Well, man, it is certainly great to be back, man. I'm so happy to be back on the College Sports Hour podcast, man. I hated to be missing last week. Hated to throw you a little monkey wrench there, but, man, you did a great job hosting this thing all by yourself, man. It was one of our best episodes last week, you doing it by yourself, man. But I'm glad that we've been able to dig out of the snow and got everything back under control, man, so I could be back with everybody today.
Yeah, I don't know about being one of the best episodes. I felt good coming in. You helped me get prepared. You helped me with the football show notes, or the basketball show notes, I should say, which is great. And you really helped me keep the momentum going. Even though you were not present, I had a blast still. I would have had a blast with you on. Right. But I really enjoy the banter between me and you, the back and forth.
Yep, man.
So, and I think our viewers do too. But, man, like I said, welcome back. I know the snowstorm hit you unexpectedly, or obviously you expected it.
We expected it to come, but it was a lot.
It was a lot. And it was a lot here too.
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, it wasn't as much as you would get in the mountains.
Yeah,
but,
man, it was
we got a lot, and it didn't really mess our internet service up, so I felt like we owed it to our viewers to continue it, and we did it. And I appreciate you helping me prepare, even though you couldn't be a part of it, brother.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you carrying on, man. Looking forward to diving in this week.
All right, guys, today we'll be talking about bowl season, which officially kicked off yesterday, which is exciting for college football fans. We'll also rapid fire our bowl predictions, which I'm going to put Greg on the spot here. We'll talk about whether or not the college football playoff should be extended, since there's a lot of talk going on right now, especially with, just the NCAA in general. We'll talk about whether or not the college football, again, some of these teams some of these players actually sitting out their bowl games in preparations for the NFL draft. And then we'll transition again to what went down during week 6 of the college basketball AP top 25, and then talk about what college basketball teams that you've seen currently or that I've seen currently that should be concerned with their early season performances. And there's several that come to the top of my mind, and I'm sure there's several that could come to the top of yours to really get that discussion started. See, man, some of these teams are going to have to tighten up. I know it's early in the season, but really to get some momentum and to not be a bubble team and to really solidify your place in the tournament, I think they're going to have to turn some things around.
Absolutely.
And with that said, let's start off with some college football, man. Like I said, bowl season officially kicked off. Saturday, we had 6 bowl games. And I'm just going to quickly run through the bowl games to include the scores, but I want to come back to one game in particular to briefly talk about and to try to understand something someone said that we really, we've talked about good on this show, and I know some things are head scratchers, man, but, I wanted to talk about him on several different occasions because during the season, and from time to time, he leaves us scratching our head. Sure. And I know this is not the first time he said something where you're like, what? Yeah. But we'll get into that in just a second, guys. But let's start off with quickly running through the results of the Week 6 bowl games played on Saturday. So North Carolina A&T beat Alcorn State 24-22 in the Air Force Reserve Celebration Bowl. Woohoo. Good job, guys. It was a close game, but hey, 24-22.
They won.
So Utah State, they beat North Texas 52-13 in the New Mexico Bowl. Really wasn't a game there. Utah State really took from the beginning and just ran through them in that game. Tulane, they beat Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns, 41-24 in the Auto Nation Cure Bowl. Man, just listen to some of these bowl names. To me, this is kind of where it kind of gets ridiculous. It's like, what are we talking about right now? But we had Fresno State, which is a game I paid attention to. They ended up beating Arizona State 31-20 in the Mitsubishi Motors Las Vegas Bowl. I like the name of that one. Georgia Southern, they beat Eastern Michigan 23-21, another close game in the Raycom Media Camellia Bowl. And then App State, somebody that, we're close to, they end up beating Middle Tennessee 45-13, really dominated that game in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Yep. But, man, what stuck with me yesterday wasn't the bowl games, man. It was what came out of Coach Herm Edwards' mouth on Saturday after Arizona State's loss to Fresno State. And so let me put this in perspective, guys. So this is what he said, okay? So he told his team after the game that we just ran out of time. We didn't lose the game. We actually just ran out of time in this one. And that happens sometimes in football. So, and again, I just want to put this game in perspective for everybody and what led to this comment, you know. It's like, okay, it's 17-17 at halftime. Right? So, again, everybody has this. It was a close game heading at half. Yep. But as a coach or player, when you end up losing the game 31-20, meaning your team only scores 3 points after halftime.
Right.
What causes you, as a coach or player, to make some ridiculous and outlandish comment like that, man? And so I can't even take him seriously when he says something like that.
Well, I mean, let's look at this thing as a factual thing. Did the time run out of the game? Yes,
True.
Time ran out. He's not being dishonest here. He's being real. I mean, time ran out. I mean, they couldn't do anything else. Time did run out of this game. But no, I hear what you're saying. When you look at some of the things that happened in this game where they forced turnovers and they weren't able to capitalize on those turnovers, they weren't able to score points. I think they forced 3 turnovers there in the second half, and they weren't able to come up with any points out of that. Yeah, you should probably be looking more at that than you are necessarily the fact that your team only put up 3 points in the second half and you come out of it saying that we just ran out of time.
Yeah, it's almost like his comment, which is not a bad comment. We play to win the game. I got it. Everybody plays to win the game. If you're not playing to win the game, you shouldn't be out here playing. You know, But at the same time, man, this one just took it to another level for me because I'm like, Coach Herm, what's going on, brother? I love you, man. You're a good guy. I love what you're doing for Arizona State. You're taking them. You're taking them in the right direction.
Yep.
But to end the season, you can't say, guys, don't hang your head. We just ran out of time. I was like, come on, man. Coach, out of everything we've done, just tell us we're proud of us. We had a great year. Thank you. High five. Let's hug it out and call it a day. But just come on, Herm Edwards.
What it makes me think of is that there was nothing else good that he could possibly think of to say in that moment there to keep his team spirits lifted. So the only thing he come up with is that, hey, guys, just ran out of time. Give us another 10 minutes and we turn this thing around. I don't know, but he just didn't have anything else he could say.
Right, man. It's just one of those things. It could be added to the list of whether it was a brain fart, quote or whatever it was something.
Right.
I just don't think he spent a lot of time thinking about what he was about to say, and it came out. And it's just epic that somebody actually caught that because if it was done behind closed doors, it's okay. He gets away with one, but he doesn't get away with one on the College Sports Hour.
That's exactly right. We're gonna call him out on that one. We love him. We like him. He's a good coach. But hey, you can't get away with saying stuff like that.
No doubt. All right, brother. I know I didn't even let you know about this part other than just a second ago. I told you we're going to rapid fire some bowl predictions. Since we're really not going to spend too much time on some of these, I mean, other than once we start getting to the ranked games, we're going to really dissect some of these. But, again, some of these haven't really been – and it's not that they're not important. It's college football. I love it. But, again, man, when you look at some of these matchups, it is what it is. I mean, some of these, when you look at it, I'm excited to talk about. But then some of them, I'm just like, man, it's another bowl game. It's another one of millions that seems to be added every year. And the names change so often that it's hard
to keep up.
Yeah, and they've lost the value of them. I mean, you have the only game that really took the correct approach, I think, is like the Rose Bowl.
Right.
When you hear about the Rose Bowl, it's a Rose Bowl game presented by a company. It's not, the All-State Sugar Bowl, and then they change it to something else. Or the college football playoff is presented by the AT&T. Those are the correct ways I think you approach some of these games because, again, even the Peach Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and some of these bowls I think have really lost their value just for the simple fact that they change their name so often or whoever, sponsors it, that, again, it should be presented by. So those kind of keep some of the historical value. But, again, they've devalued themselves over the years by just approaching it and changing the name so many times. I don't like it.
Well, the other thing about it is that you got some teams that make it into a bowl that really aren't that good. I mean, you got teams that are finishing the season at 500, and you get rewarded with going to a bowl game. That's the system that's been set up. So, good for you for being able to go to a bowl game. But if your team is 6-6 and you're going to a bowl game, I mean, and I can say this as a Duke fan, I'm not. I mean, I want to see my team make to a bowl game, but I'm not all that excited about a 6-6 Duke team going and playing in a bowl game. Yeah, we're glad that we could go, but it's not that big a deal. I mean, okay, yeah, we're not that good. We finished at 500. I mean, anyways.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Let's do this rapid fire. Okay,
right.
going over to the Sherry Bundy Boca Raton Bowl. We have UAB or Northern Illinois. Who do you like?
I got UAB in this one.
Okay, I like UAB too. Let's go on to the Frisco Bowl, the DXL Frisco Bowl to be exact. San Diego State or Ohio?
I'm going to go with San Diego State in this one.
Okay, I like Ohio.
All right.
Let's go to the Bad Boy Mowers. Just let me repeat that.
Yeah.
The Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. I mean, are you kidding me right now? Who do you have, Marshall or South Florida?
I'm going to take Marshall in this one.
I like Marshall as well. I just think,
Okay.
South Florida just haven't impressed me the last half of the season. Makers,
Exactly.
The Makers, this is even better. The Makers wanted Bahamas Bowl. Florida International or Toledo?
Give me Florida International in this one.
I'm going to go with the Toledo Rockets.
Just because they're the Rockets, right?
Exactly. Yeah, like the Houston Rockets, which, from time to time has a guy named James Harden. He's pretty good. Let's go to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, which it doesn't get any better than that one. Western Michigan or BYU?
Oh, give me BYU in this one.
I like the Cougars as well. I'll go with BYU.
All right.
We'll stay the course on that one. Now, I don't know. This one feels like somebody just took somebody's first name and put it on there. But we're going to go with the Jared Birmingham Bowl. Memphis or Wake Forest?
I'm going to go with Wake Forest in the upset on this one.
I like that, but I'm going to go with the Memphis team that seems – I think they'll just – both of these offenses can get going. I think Memphis will just be a little too much.
Sure.
All right. The Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Houston or Army?
Man, I tell you what, this is a little bit of a tough pick for me because I really like that Army team, but I am going to go with Houston in this one.
Man, I cannot go against my team.
Now, I get it.
The Army Black Knights. They got it, man.
I get it. Go for it, man.
They're looking good this year. They had a big win against Navy. I think they get it done, man. They had a great season, too.
They did, man.
Let's go with the Dollar General Bowl. Buffalo or Troy? Great game.
The Dollar General Bowl? Seriously?
I'm not making these up.
I know you're not, man, but we might as well be. All right, Buffalo or Troy. Give me Buffalo in this game.
I like that pick, but I'm going to have to go to the Troy Trojans, man. I like what Troy's been doing. Again, this is a team that seems like they play in their own bowl every year. The Hawaii Bowl. Louisiana Tech or Hawaii?
The Hawaii Bowl played in Hawaii. I'm going to go with Hawaii on this one.
Good call. I'm going with Hawaii, too. Let's go with Surf Pro First Responder Bowl. Boston College or Boise State?
Oh, man. Give me – call me a homer if you will. I'm going to stick with the ACC, and I'm going to go with Boston College in this game.
Man, I want to do the same thing, but I'm going to have to go with the Boise State, man. I like what Rippon is doing over there.
Yeah, man, they're doing some good things. Boston College has flirted with that, being in the top 25 in and out, man. I'm looking for them to have a good game this time around.
All right, let's go to the Quick Lane Bowl. Minnesota or Georgia Tech?
Tech in this one.
You got Tech? I'll go with the Yellow Jackets.
I got Tech.
All right, I'll go with the Yellow Jackets as well. So we got another great one right here. The Cheez-It Bowl. Cal or TCU? Hey guys, you got to order with the Cheez-It Bowl.
Yeah. Yay! Jeez. All right, let's see. Give me Cal in this game.
I'm gonna go with TCU, but man, what do you get? When you go into these bowl games, they give you like these care packages or whatever. Are they gonna really give them a bag of Cheez-Its? Like seriously?
If they don't, man, there's something seriously wrong with this bowl. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you, man. If Cheez-Its aren't like spread out everywhere for these guys, there's something wrong with this bowl.
I hear you, man. So let's go to the Walk-Ons Independence Bowl. It seems to me that it rings a whole bunch of Walk-Ons getting together to plan, and you might have a lot of Walk-Ons at Temple or Duke, but who do you have, man? Temple or Duke?
Oh man, you know where I'm going in this game. I'm gonna ride with my Blue Devils, and I'm gonna go with Duke.
I'm just gonna go against you, man, and just flip it and go with Temple just to do it, just to poke
just
at
go
you.
ahead. Just go with Temple.
Just to poke the bear a little bit because my team didn't make a bowl game, so I'm just gonna go with Temple.
Oh man, go for it.
Okay, man, the Academy Sports Plus Outdoors Texas Bowl. Like really, they couldn't just go with one. It had to be Academy Sports Plus, the Outdoors Texas Bowl. Baylor or Vanderbilt?
Oh man, give me Baylor in this one.
I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna roll with the SEC on this one and just go with an unusual pick and Vanderbilt. Typically I would just ride with Baylor because of typical offensive firepower, but man, I'm gonna roll with Vanderbilt in this game.
I like Baylor, man. They're playing in Texas in this one a little bit, so I mean, so there's something there for Baylor.
That is. Let's go to the New Era Pinstripe Bowl. Miami or Wisconsin?
Man, I tell you what, the cool thing about this game, they're playing in Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, something cool about this game. I would like to stay with the ACC in Miami, but Miami has not impressed me this year, so I'm going to roll with Wisconsin, who also has not impressed me this year.
I will back you up on that and go with the Badgers as well.
All right.
Let's go over to the Franklin American Mortgage Music City Bowl. Man, some of these bowls are just get longer and longer. Purdue or Auburn?
Oh, man, I tell you what, Purdue's been tough this year, but I'm going to roll with Auburn in this one. What you think?
I like that pick, but man, I'm going with the Boilermakers just because. You know, it's one of those
why
things.
Not?
It's like, why not do it? I'm rolling the dice and going with Boilermakers, man. You know, some of these games I'm going to have to go against just to do it. The Camping World Bowl, man. The Camping World Bowl. Are you kidding me right now? West Virginia, Syracuse, but hey, check it out.
Big problem.
Big problem there for West Virginia. You know, Syracuse, Eric Dungy's playing as of I know right now, unless he decides otherwise. But Will Greer's not playing for West Virginia. I just wanted to give you that quick out just in case it made you change your mind. Who are you going with?
Oh, that changes everything for that game. I do remember that Will Greer was out, but wasn't going to play in this game, so I was rolling with Syracuse on this one for that simple fact.
Yeah, man. I'm definitely going to go with Syracuse too. I can't go against them. I've seen what they've done this year. They've been impressive. West Virginia's been impressive as well, but man, without Will Greer, I don't know what the team's going to look like. So definitely not going West Virginia in this one.
Right.
The Valero Alamo Bowl, man. Iowa State or Washington State. Now, just think. We have Brock Purdy and then the mustache.
Yep.
Just let me know who do you like.
How can you go against the mustache? Because I don't believe it's going to be snowing in San Antonio in this game, man. The only thing that I see slowing down that offense is the weather, as we saw in the Pac-12 in their last time that we saw Washington State out when they played Washington. So I am going to roll with Washington State Cougars in this one.
I like that pick, but man, I like the Purdy party.
Oh,
Brock
the Purdy party.
Purdy is back, and I think Iowa State is going to roll in this game, man.
I hear you.
It's going to be close, though. Let's go to the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, man. We got Florida or Michigan?
I tell you what, man, Michigan's going to be missing a couple of key players in this one as well who've already said that they're going to be sitting out of this game. I tell you what, for that fact, I know that Michigan's still tough out there, but I do believe we saw Michigan get exposed. I think Florida's still out to prove something that's out there, so I'm going to roll with the Gators. I know that hurts you a little bit, but I'm going to roll with the Gators.
See, I just can't do that. There's a lot of times where, I try to be honest and I try to go with who really passes the eye test for me. I just think Michigan they had a great year. They slipped up and got completely dominated by Ohio State. But, man, I don't think Florida, again, I think Florida has had a lot of outs and has just gotten by the skin of their teeth in some of these games. And I don't think they're a top 10 team. And I think Michigan proves it. All right. Let's go to the Belt Bowl, man. South Carolina or Virginia?
No, I'm going to roll with South Carolina in this one, man.
I will go with the Gamecocks as well, man. I don't know. We've seen Virginia, pull up, get a big win against Miami. I don't like the Cavaliers right now.
I agree.
The Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Okay.
You want to say that one more time, too?
The Nova Home Loans Arizona Bowl. Get out of here, man.
Appreciate that.
Arkansas State or Nevada?
Oh, man. Give me Nevada in this one.
I'm going to have to go with Arkansas State just because it's the Home Loans Arizona Bowl.
All right, yeah. I mean, why not?
Whatever. All right, man. This is where it gets kind of interesting, okay? Because not only are we going to pick the two semifinal games, but we're also going to really just try to make our pick to see who's going to win it all. So at the end of the day, the first semifinal college football playoff game at the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Notre Dame or Clemson, man.
I tell you what, man, I think this is going to be a better game than what a lot of people are thinking. I know a lot of people are thinking that a lot of people think that Notre Dame doesn't belong in the top four, and don't belong in the college football playoff. However, I think that they do. I think this will be a closer game, but I do think Clemson's going to pull this game out.
I do agree with you on Notre Dame. They're a lot better than a lot of people are trying to give them credit for. Is it unfortunate that they don't have a championship game to a lot of teams out there? Obviously. But I think Clemson just has the team that can deal with Notre Dame. I really think you put anybody else, you put Michigan in there, you put any of those other teams that were outside looking in, Ohio State, Notre Dame gives them a run for their money.
Sure.
So Notre Dame deserves a spot, I believe, at this point in time. But like I agree with you, I think Clemson's going to be too much.
Good deal.
Let's go to the Capital One Orange Bowl, man. This is the other semifinal game. This is pitting Oklahoma against Alabama. Who do you like?
I tell you what, man. I think we're going to be in for another good game in this one, man. I do believe that Oklahoma offense is going to get going, and we're going to see some good stuff out of Kyler Murray. I just feel like Alabama is too tough of a team, and you're giving them a lot of time to prep and prepare, giving Nick Saban a lot of time to look over that offense and look over that defense and see the holes that he can create there. I see Alabama winning this game.
I agree with you. I really think Kyler Murray is going to cause them fits, or cause them problems, but I think during the course of this game they're going to make enough adjustments to be able to come up with that stop or two that they need, because I just don't see Oklahoma's defense slowing the offense, Alabama's offense down at the end of the game, that I think Alabama's defense will make enough big plays to actually win this game. So I'm going with Alabama as well.
All right.
The Military Bowl presented by Northrop Grumman. Cincinnati or Virginia Tech, my man?
I tell you what, man. Cincinnati doesn't really play in all that tough of a conference, so I don't know that they had a whole lot of competition. Virginia Tech had to deal with a lot of injuries this year as well. So I tell you what, man, I'm gonna be a little bit of a homer, stick with the ACC, and go with the Hokies in this one.
Man, I'm gonna have to disagree and go with the Bearcats. I'm rolling with
All
Cincinnati.
right.
As much as I want to stay in the ACC, the Virginia Tech completely started off pretty decent, and then the injuries cost them the fall on their face a lot throughout the year. I think Cincinnati will be just too much. I know they don't play in the toughest of conferences, but I think they'll do enough in this game to get the job done.
All right.
Let's go to the Hyundai Sun Bowl, man. Stanford or Pittsburgh?
I'm going to roll with Stanford in this one, bud.
I will agree. I will go with Stanford, the Cardinals as well. Let's transition to the Red Box Bowl. Oregon or Michigan State? I already know the answer on this one.
Talk about the fact that you got these are two teams that, man, talk about being disappointing teams coming out of this season. And Michigan State finishing at 7-5, Oregon finishing at 8-4, two very disappointing teams. But I tell you what, I'm rolling with Oregon.
I knew it. Oregon as well. I just don't like seeing what Michigan State has done this year has just been completely embarrassing. And I know Oregon has fallen flat, in second halves.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
But they've had some games and again had some games where they put up some good yards, but again they just couldn't complete the task at hand. Michigan State, on the other hand, offensively they've looked horrible at times. So I'm not even flirting with the chance of picking Michigan State.
All right.
Let's go to the AutoZone Liberty Bowl, Missouri or Oklahoma State.
Oh, man, give me Oklahoma State in this one.
Man, I'm with you on that. I'm Oklahoma State all through and through in this one. I'm going to roll with it. I just think what they've done and some of these scores that they've been able to put up. Obviously, their defense might struggle, but
Sure.
At the end of the day, man, the offense is looking good. I'll take Oklahoma State as well. The San Diego Credit Union Holiday Bowl. I just made something up and put two teams together.
Slapped it on there.
Northwestern or Utah, man?
I tell you what, man, I rolled with Northwestern and they burned me the last time, but I'm going to roll with them again. Give me Northwestern in this game.
I like the pick, but I'm going Utah. Utah all the way. They've burned me. I've rolled with Utah plenty of times this year and gotten burnt, but I'm going to stay with them.
All right.
The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl, NC State or Texas A&M?
Tell you what, man, I am not a believer in the Wolfpack in this one. Give me Jimbo Fisher and the Texas A&M Aggies.
I agree. I think Jimbo Fisher, when you give him this long, he's another one of those coaches. If you give him a long time to game plan, he can definitely get it done. I think he has his team ready, and Texas A&M wins this one.
Yep.
Outback Bowl, Mississippi State or Iowa?
I tell you what, man, let's go with the upset pick. Let's go with Iowa in this one.
Oh, I'm gonna go with Mississippi State, man. I like you going and venturing off into the wild. But hey, it might not be, man.
It's what we do.
Hey, man, that defense, it might not be so crazy because all they have to do is stop one person, right?
That's exactly right.
Let's go to the Citrus Bowl. Kentucky or Penn State? This is an interesting matchup.
It is. It really, really is, man. I tell you what, I'm still torn here. I got my pick right here in front of me, man. I'm still torn on this one. Give me Penn State in this one, man. I want to pick Kentucky. I know you've been riding them all year long, but and there's just something about it. Give me Penn State.
As much as I want to go to the SEC and play something different, I just think Penn State I just think their offense is just going to be too much for Kentucky. Again, Kentucky, their offense is not always there. I just think that Penn State's going to do enough to slow Kentucky down. Kentucky will slow Penn State down, obviously, but I think Penn State scores just too many points. PlayStation Fiesta Bowl. Another interesting matchup because there's a team over here saying we deserve this, we deserve that, and if they win this, they can be another 2 years in a row self-proclaimed champions, I would believe. But they're going against LSU, and so who do you got in this one?
I tell you what, it's been well documented that I'm not a big fan of LSU's offense. I would love to pick UCF on this game. I just can't bring myself to do it with McKenzie Melton out, man. With him, the backup played well in their championship game. I get that, but he is not McKenzie Melton. Give me LSU.
I'm a gambling man. I'm gonna go with it. Roll the dice. UCF, keep it going, guys. Keep it going.
He picked it, man.
Picked him to bring it home. I just rolled the dice on everybody.
Wow. Okay.
All right, man. We got the Rose Bowl, a game I respect because it's the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Washington or Ohio State, man?
I tell you what, man, even though Washington's playing a little bit closer to home in this game, I jumped off the Washington bandwagon a long time ago. Promised myself I wouldn't pick him. I'm going to hold true to that promise for this week, and I'm going to pick Ohio State in this one.
I have to lean the same way because, again, how many times this year did I wait for Washington to break out, and they just never did it for me. So seeing what Ohio State did to Michigan and seeing how they've played the last couple weeks, I'm rolling with Ohio State in this one. And it's just, I just have to go that way, man. Washington, I would love to pick you. I just can't.
Yep.
Let's go to the All-State, Sugar Bowl. Texas or Georgia. Now, this is a game, a lot of people thinking that Georgia deserved to be in the top 4, but they get a consolation prize of playing Texas.
I tell you what, man, I think Georgia's out to prove something in this game. I think they're going to lay it on Texas. Give me Georgia.
Hey, Georgia. I'm picking Georgia, but guess what? If you don't win this, don't ever say anything. You lose to Texas, you didn't deserve it. So make sure you go and win this game.
There you go.
All right, man. So we picked the 2 winners in the first semifinal, or who we believe will be the 2 winners of the semifinal game. So that pitted up Clemson and Alabama, correct?
That's exactly right. So I picked 2.
So we got the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Who do you have winning this game between Clemson and Alabama if it plays out this way?
If it plays out this way, we got Clemson and Alabama sitting there, which I think in most people's minds, in my mind, you've got the 2 best teams in the nation. I think that's the way that it should line up. And I tell you what, I think I have been leaning on Alabama all year long, but, man, I am going to roll right here, right now. I am going to roll with Clemson to upset Alabama and recapture the national championship this year.
Drop the mic and walk off. I like the pick, man, and I would love for Dabo Swinney, and because of the type of character and person he is, I would love for Clemson to do it, man. But I just think that Alabama's team is probably one of the best teams they've ever had. If they can get by Oklahoma, and that's a big if, because Oklahoma's going to come in with some firepower. If they get by Oklahoma, I think that they will. I'm not going to say they're not going to have a problem with Clemson.
Right.
But I just think they're going to be too much. I'm going to take Alabama.
I hear you, man. I tell you what, though, I think that we are in for a good round of college playoff this year, man. In those 2 games for the semifinals and in the final game as well, man. I think we're in for some really, really good college football.
I mean, what comes down, man, though, if Notre Dame, so say Notre Dame beats Clemson, and then Oklahoma beats Alabama, you're going to have Oklahoma and Notre Dame. What kind of national championship is that going to be?
Oh, my gosh, man. I mean, you're talking about things going right out the window and everybody trying to scramble and figure things out at that point in time because I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are picking either one of those teams at this point.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, Notre Dame wins. They prove that, hey, we definitely should have been there to begin with.
And what about Oklahoma at that point?
True. But but like I said going in, when I found Oklahoma was playing Alabama, I'm like, who just got the raw end of the deal? I really think Alabama did because nobody wants to play Oklahoma offensively.
Sure.
Defensively, it might be a different story, but I just think, again, Kyler Murray, he just won the Heisman, obviously. He's awesome, and he has some playmakers. But typically, he's making the plays.
Exactly.
So, yeah, man, I like Alabama, but, man, since we just did the rapid fire of our bowl predictions, let's talk about some college players not playing in the bowl games. And as most of us are aware by now, and if you're not, the college football's recent postseason trend of NFL prospect talents deciding to sit out of their bowl games has just continues to increase, man. It becomes even more popular today, and I think with each passing season, it's going to get more popular, especially if we continue to devalue some of these bowl games.
Right.
So they're risking a lot, but really when I look back on it, man, I just don't like it. So and some of them of note, you have Ed Oliver of the Houston Cougars. You had Will Greer, which is a huge name right there for West Virginia, which again puts them in a bind in their bowl game. Devin Bush for Michigan. N'Keal Harry, which just sat out the Arizona State game, the wide receiver. That was a huge one. I thought, that Herm Edwards was going to be able to talk him into playing. It obviously didn't work out that way. He made the decision that was best for him. Greedy Williams, the cornerback for LSU. You have Noah Fant from Iowa Hawkeyes. And then Rashawn Gary, again, another Michigan Wolverine, as well as the dude from Ohio State, which we talked about offline, which I'll let you talk more about. But, man, when you look at it, do you like this? Is it good for college football? Does it devalue what they've done all season? I mean, when I look at it, if I'm in the trenches with my guys all year, you're typically trading, life, limb, or eyesight anyway throughout the year. You're playing injured. The NFL's always there. But really, what does one game do, man? I got it. You could get injured at any given moment. They can get injured. They can skip this, get injured in the combine, get injured training, and their season's over. So, but what is? Do you like it?
You know what? I don't like the fact that we got guys that are sitting out of games. I don't like that. However, I understand it at the same time. And I'm not in the trenches with those guys. I've never been in the trenches like that on a football team, or it's certainly not at the college level or anything like that. But everything that I hear is that when these guys make these decisions, their teammates seem to understand. Now, I don't know what they're going to say publicly other than that. Hey, we get it. We understand it. He's thinking about the future at this point. But I think you made a really good point about this devaluing of bowl games that's going on. You look at some of these guys that are sitting out. Let's just take N'Keal Harry for Arizona State. He just sat out of the Las Vegas Bowl. What does that mean for him? If he goes out there and he balls out, that's not going to raise his stock any to be able to make it to the NFL. If he goes out there and he plays poorly, I don't think that lowers his stock all that much for the NFL draft or anything like that. So these guys are looking at their future or anything like. You got conversations of guys who are. I don't think anybody has done this yet. If they have, then you can certainly correct me on it. But you got conversations about the guys that are sitting there saying, you know what, I'm going into this season thinking I might be a high first round pick, maybe the number 1 overall pick. And then there's conversations about him sitting out the entire college football season. I don't know how close we are at that right there taking place. But I look at somebody who plays for my professional team. I cheer for the Carolina Panthers. I look at Christian McCaffrey. He was the running back at Stanford. He sat out of his bowl game. It did not hurt his stock at all. We still took him at the number 8 overall pick in the first round. So, I don't see it hurting their stock or anything like that. But there's conversations that are happening specifically around these bowl games that really don't have any kind of bearing. It's almost as if it's just another game for them.
Yeah, I can kind of see from the standpoint like Ed Oliver. He only played 8 games this year. He was battling injury. Some of these teams or some of these guys that just didn't play that much this year, deciding to I think is better because I did go through that injury. And I know everybody, when you play a sport, you're going to battle through injuries throughout your career. Right. And that's the name of the game. You're an athlete. You're going to get injured. You're overexerting your body, your physical contact, whatever it is, you're going to get hurt. You could just have a simple rolled ankle, stuff like that. You're going to break things. It happens. But man, I don't think that would even cross my mind. I don't care. Right. I don't know who's approaching these guys and saying, hey, you might want to think about sitting out. But I think there's more and more people approaching them, like take out these crazy insurance policies, with all this monetary value tied with it. So if they do get hurt, they get that money or whatever. But I just don't like it, man, because, again, you've been playing with this team all year. Like, for instance, you mentioned N'Keal Harry for West, or I did earlier, the wide receiver at Arizona State. And you mentioned him just a second ago too, man. He had over 1,000 yards receiving this year, on 73 receptions. So he balled out throughout the year, 9 touchdowns in 12 games. So he had a huge year. But again, like you said, I'm looking at some of these games. Do they sit out if they make these bigger games, the Sugar Bowls, or the semifinals? I don't think so. But again,
they're still playing for something.
Yeah, exactly, because they're still playing for something at that point. But when you look at some of these games, and it's just like, are you kidding me? The Camping World Bowl or the Armed Forces Bowl, I can see why some of them are sitting out because it's not really going to make or break where they fall in the draft or where they fall at the combine, statistically and stuff. They're still going to have to go out there and earn it. But man, I just don't like it because, Will Grier could help them have a better season. They might go on and win their game, but it puts the team in a bind. And I got it, like you said, some of them, I'm sure they understand because they might have the same mentality going forward, but it has increasingly becoming more popular. I just don't like it for the overall look and feel. It's the same mentality of the one and done in basketball type thing.
Right.
I hate that, and I just I don't think it's good for even no matter how many years you've been on these teams. You've been busting your butt. I think that college or the people that have entrusted you with that scholarship, they deserve that last game out of you, and they deserve your best.
I mean, we could certainly dive into an extremely long conversation about the one and done in college basketball. I don't. That certainly, in my opinion, hasn't done any favors to college basketball. I mean, I think that's hurt definitely the college basketball system and the product that's out there on the court now. But at the same time, it's the product that is out there. It's what we have. It's the era that we are in. Transitioning back to these guys that are sitting out the bowl games and stuff like that. I think it's kind of the same conversation. It's where we're at. It's where we're headed. I think you certainly have guys that are getting some whispers in their ear about the policies and about, hey, you might need to sit this stuff out. I just don't know that it's going anywhere, and I don't know that there's any way to really begin to adjust or change that. Kind of just the way that things have turned. I don't want to get into stereotyping or anything like that, but these guys realize, and as a football player, you have a risk that's every single play that you go out there could be your last play. Man, I not to talk too much about professional football, but I remember, just a couple of weeks ago that you had Alex Smith, the quarterback of the Washington Redskins, get out there and had a nasty hit on his ankle. Now, he's had a career and everything like that, but, man, he's had pretty much what appears to be a career-ending injury. We still have yet to hear about the injury that Mackenzie Melton suffered. I mean, one hit, and, man, we don't know what that's done to his career or what it's going to look like for him moving forward, but it's just one play, and you never know when that play is going to happen, and you can't approach the game in fear or worry that the next hit may be your last or anything like that. But at the same time, if you're one game away from a potential life-changing millions upon millions of dollar contract that's sitting there in front of you, I don't think that I would sit out the game, but I certainly would probably be one to start and think about it.
I mean, I can see your point there, but I mean, that was a good discussion. I really appreciate your feedback on that, man. I just wanted to know. And it's good to get this out there because it's something that, again, I don't like, but I can completely understand. There's always two sides to the coin. I don't disagree with some of their decisions on doing this. Do I like it if I was the coach, or do I like it if I was your teammate? Absolutely not, especially if I was somebody sacrificing my, again, you can get hurt at any play, no matter what. You can get hurt driving home, whatever it is. I know you have a greater risk when you're putting yourself every play contact. But at the same end of the day, man, I don't like it, but I can completely understand it.
Yep.
So let's transition the conversation, man. We beat that with a drum a little bit. So let's go, let's transition the conversation to possibly expanding the college football playoff, because I know that's a big discussion and a hot topic right now. I think for the last 5 years, last several years, we've had the 4 teams. We expanded from 2, went to 4. But, and we all saw Washington State's head coach Mike Leach go on the epic college football playoff rant. And we all saw, and going there, completely understand and completely agree with some of the things he said. You also have Notre Dame's coach, Brian Kelly, and a lot of other FBS head football coaches favoring the 18 playoff.
Right.
And so while on the other hand, you have coaches like Dabo Swinney. They like it the way it is. They actually liked it when it was just 2 before, but they're in favor of if it's only 4 or 2. That's how I like it, and I think you're devaluing the system if you go. You're devaluing the uniqueness of college football if you go to that. But I mean, everybody does it, so why not? When it comes to the end of the year, my question is: should the college football playoff, which currently sits at 4 teams, be expanded? And what is the magic number if it is expanded out of the 4? Like it currently is?
I'll be honest with you, man. I kind of like the 4 because at the end of the day, I don't care what number we go to, there's always going to be conversation about it being expanded to more, because whoever's sitting at that next spot out is going to have an argument as to why they didn't get in. If it were to expand to 8, what kind of 8 teams are we looking at? Are we looking at the quote-unquote 8 best teams in the nation, or are we looking at it and saying, okay, no, we're going to take the conference champions of the Power 5 conferences, and then we're going to look at 3 other spots beyond that? I mean, is that what we're going to look at? There are a lot of conversations to be had there, because we're supposed to be getting the top 4 teams in the college football playoff now. I think that we got that this year, but obviously there's a lot of conversation about that number 5. If we move it to 8, it's whoever's going to be sitting at 9. They're going to say, well, we deserve a chance. Yeah. The thing I like about 4 is sitting there saying, I think that we're still valuing winning throughout the college football season, which is what separates it from every other sport and every other program that's out there, whether it be professional or college, is that college football, every single game matters, because if you slip up just once, then that right there can cost you the problem, your chance at a championship, which is what cost Georgia. Had they not lost to LSU, whole different conversation we're having right now.
Yeah, well, if they didn't lose LSU or Alabama, both teams, because they at the end of the day, they almost showed, to go a little off your point, or to go go against the point you just made to a certain extent, was they almost, to a lot of, like Kirk Herbstreit, for example, a lot of them was like, Georgia is as far as the eye test goes, they're one of the best in the nation. I can't disagree with what they did against Alabama, slowed that team down. Yeah, got that point. But at the end of the day, if you're not valued, it's like, it shows me you want a 2-loss team that couldn't take care of business twice. I mean, they got completely dominated by LSU, so it wasn't even a question in that game. That they kicked the pooch against Alabama, obviously, and really were their own worst enemy in that game, and caused themselves to lose that. But do I really want that team that lost twice throughout the year to be representing in a 4-team playoff? No. Maybe do they have rights to an 8-team? Obviously. Yeah. I do think, though, I'm for the expansion to 8. Okay. The reason is because, again, I think the whole devaluing of the bowl system, because there's so many of them, and when you have a 6-6 year, it's great. You get to go to a bowl game. Good job, whatever that means. Right. But at the end of the day, man, when you have a Power 5, that's something that we've devalued. We've also devalued the Power 5 and what that means.
Yes, we have.
It's not easy to win a conference championship. And I think when you look at going to the last 2 years, we've kind of, fenced out 2 of the top, the Power 5 teams for the last 2 years. And so that's a problem to me. When you take teams that didn't win their conference championship, and regardless of the eye test or not, but they actually won, because at the end of the day, winning matters. It should matter. To me, okay, if you're winning by 1 point every year or whatever, you're going to overtime every game and they're scrubs, I got it. But, man, it's not easy to go and win all your games. It's not easy to go win your conference championship game. Right. And it doesn't matter what conference you're in. It's hard. And so for teams that actually go out and do that, I think they should be rewarded. And I also think that, some of them shouldn't just get a consolation prize of saying, okay, you went and did this. And I think opening that 18 playoff would help teams like, okay, would UCF make a run? Who knows? But it would be interesting to see them grab a spot, because did they earn it? I think they earned a top 8. But when you got Mackenzie Milton going out, then that changes the discussion, because it's like, are they really one of the best 8 without him? Maybe not, but they still had a chance leading up until that point. And again, like you said, there's always, even with the expanded to 8, they're going to talk about 16, whatever it is. Somebody's going to complain because, we were one of the best. But at the end of the day, you can make all the arguments you want. If you don't get the job done and you don't win, I don't think it should hold water to how good you looked against a specific team. Especially case in point with Georgia and Alabama. Georgia, you slowed Alabama down, great. You lost the game, sorry, but you also got manhandled by LSU. So don't talk in this huddle unless an 8-game is expanded, or an 8-team playoff is expanded, and you can come to the table then. Just because you showed out against the best team in college football and you ran them all the way to the edge, but couldn't get it done. Right. I don't know what you want to say. I can say for that weekend, you look like one of the best 2 teams in the nation. Sure. For that weekend only. because I watched them play all year.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You can ask a whole bunch of UGA fans about how they even trashed their own team about not looking good throughout the year, even though they were winning.
The thing I like about the current setup is that you have to be good all year long. You can't just wait to turn it on halfway through the season. You can't wait to just turn it on during championship week. You have to be good at every phase all year long. And if you're not, then you're not going to be able to chance to play for that championship. And it's the only college football is the only platform where that currently happens. Look, I'm a huge college basketball fan, but you know what? You can lose 8, 9, 10 games in the year and still make it into the big dance and have a shot at the championship. That creates a lot of parity out there. I mean, that's a lot of fun come March time. But this is what separates college football from everything else, and I don't think we should be losing that.
Yeah, I just think I think we're getting closer and closer to opening the can of worms because they almost let Georgia. I mean, Georgia, I guarantee was right there at sneaking in. And I think if they allow Georgia to come in over some of these one-loss teams that actually won their conference championships, man, they would open up Pandora's box. That they would have been expansion immediately. Everybody would have been screaming it, demanding it, and that was everybody saying Georgia looked like the best team other than Alabama for one weekend, guys. And I mean, I know they've been playing ball all year. Go look at their statistics. You know, they had similar, if not better, stats in Alabama in some respects, and a lot of other teams in the nation. But at the end of the day, they lost twice. So my thing is, they shouldn't even have got as close as they did, but they're right on the verge of hopping into this thing to open that Pandora's box. So that's another reason, the devaluing of the Power Fives and almost letting a 2-loss Georgia team, which looked awesome until they faked that punt against Alabama. Bye-bye, you know. So that's why I lean more towards it.
I hear you. That's a good. That's some good discussion. That's a good conversation, and that conversation will continue on.
Oh, without a doubt. And I'm sure we'll talk about it some more.
Yep.
But all right, man. It was like coming into this weekend, what are we going to talk about college football, man? We gave a good 45 minutes there, but let's go ahead and switch topics and talk some college basketball, man. College basketball is officially wrapping up week 6. And as most of us know, we will have a new AP Top 25 coming out tomorrow. So we look forward to that and look forward to reshuffling of some of these teams and seeing where they come out. But with that said, though, let's take a look at some of the upsets. There wasn't that many, and some big wins that happened this week in the men's college basketball AP Top 25. So the recap goes starting off with Pennsylvania, man, beating and defeating number 17 Villanova, which seemed to get their groove back for a little while.
Right.
And then lost this game after coming up to the 17th spot in the rankings. They lost 78-75.
So, man, the Quakers come into this game as a 7.5-point underdog, man, and were able to handle business and take care and upset of number 17 Villanova. This is the first time that Pennsylvania had beaten Nova since December 10th, 2002. Phil Booth of Villanova had a chance to tie the game up but missed the final shot of the game. Pennsylvania was able to knock down some free throws to pad their lead and score the upset, man. A.J. Brodeur had 16 points for Pennsylvania. Antonio Woods threw in 16 as well. And, man, they were able to just kind of come in there, knock on that door, and then knock the door down and get a big win. Yeah,
making 25 of 37 free throws is big. But, again, man, that's like y'all got to tighten up. You missed 12. I mean, I'm the coach. We're shooting free throws. But hey, like you said, they come in. They were 7.5-point underdogs. What can you say? Pennsylvania put it on Villanova, and Villanova. I mean, sometimes it looks like the Villanova of last year, and sometimes it looks like not even just completely different teams.
It was probably, there's something to be said for these guys looking ahead, and I think there's something a lot to be said here that they look past Pennsylvania, looking ahead to a meetup with Kansas that they had over the course of Saturday as well.
Yeah, but you look at it, they're not getting blown out, other than obviously we know they got blown out in a game earlier this year. But they're losing some close games, so they are still figuring out, still learning how to work with each other, and they lose. They go against number 1 Kansas, which is undefeated, and they defeated them. You know, and Kansas beats them 74-71. How did that roll out?
So LaGerald Vick came in, had 29 points for this one. Dedrick Lawson had 28 points and 12 rebounds. Devin Dotson had 11 points, including 4 crucial free throws in the last almost final minute of the game. But it's not like that Kansas just overwhelmingly dominated Nova. This game went back and forth, man. It was right there, really close all the way through. Colin Gillespie converted a 3-point opportunity. They got the score to 69-65 with about 31 seconds left to play. But then Phil Booth hit a deep three and then got the score to 71-68. But Kansas just kept making free throws. You mentioned it about Pennsylvania and Villanova. Kansas just kept knocking down their free throws. And, man, that's what the good teams are going to do. They're going to knock down their free throws. They're going to be clutch at the end of the game. And that's the big reason why Kansas was able to win.
Yeah, when I'm looking at this Villanova team, obviously after this game, they lost. Their third loss of the season was against Pennsylvania. The fourth loss of the season is against this number 1 Kansas team, which is a good, talented team. So You can't really hang your head. They lost by 3 points. They hung with them. It was blow for blow. They just, again, can't, like you said, Kansas is making free throws. And when you make free throws, you can't, especially when you're trying to close the gap and you're fouling and you're trying to get back into the game. These teams are knocking down these free throws. It's hard to get that momentum back on your side. Kansas kept it rolling, and Kansas showed you why they're, one of the best teams in the nation. But I still like Villanova to be a tournament team. I still think they're going to be good at the end of the day. They're going to they might make a deep run and when it comes March. But we'll have to see. Nobody, you don't jump off the bandwagon yet. They're still trying to figure out how to play. They're playing good. They're playing some good ball, and then again they're making some, bad mistakes. They're just they're not getting dominated. They're just losing, and sometimes they're their own worst enemy right now.
And one of the big things that I think separates college basketball from professional basketball is the coaching. And if you got a good coach, you've got a good chance to do a lot of things come around March. And Villanova has a really good coach in Jay Wright.
Oh, I agree. So let's go over this game right here, the number 12 North Carolina. So we saw them. They played against Tennessee. We saw how that all worked out. Carolina has 2 losses on the year, but I did not see this one coming. I thought, the Zags, Gonzaga, obviously North Carolina beats them 103-90. This game I did not see playing out like it did. I know Gonzaga had a key injury in one of their players, and I talked about him on the last episode. But some of these close games are starting to rear its head. And so I think it's really the wear and tear that these close games are putting on this Gonzaga team that they got to figure something out. And it's a team that I'm going to put on has to figure. This is 2 losses in a row, man.
Right.
So that's something to be of concern.
Two losses to 2 really good teams. You had Tennessee last week, and then you got North Carolina this week. Coach Roy Williams for North Carolina, man, has been saying all year that he has a good shooting team. They just haven't really been showing it, even though they've been able to put up some points. And this game right here featured 2 teams that are extremely talented at putting the ball in the basket. But I did not see North Carolina coming up with this kind of a win, man. That was it was a dominating win is what it really was, man. Cameron Johnson for UNC had 25 points, including six 3-pointers. North Carolina shot 57% in the first half and led by 14 at the half. And then they never let the Zags get closer than 8 points in the second half. They really dominated them, man. They dominated them in almost in every facet of the game, including the rebounding edge, 42-21. They out-rebounded the Zags, man.
If you watch North Carolina basketball, they can score points. It's like watching a Duke, they can score points. And so it doesn't, when I look at this, it doesn't blow my mind, but the way, this is the first time since 2007 is that the Zags have allowed a team to score over 100 in regulation.
Yep. Since
2007.
It's crazy.
And guess who did that last time? And so when we look at this team, they slow the game down. They don't score a lot at Virginia. So that's crazy. So this is the first time they've allowed that to happen. So that goes to show that Gonzaga has consistently had a decent defense. And
right.
So, but right now, after these 2 losses, they're kind of struggling in that area. Again, is it alarming that they lose to these 2 teams, Tennessee and North Carolina? They're both great teams. No, but again, losing is the concerning part. That it can, the snowball effect and fighting through some of these injuries that they're having. It's like, you might have injuries. Every team's going to have to battle through that, but you're going to have to learn how to win without it. And they've been winning. They've been winning some close games, but a lot of the games they've been playing lately have been close. And then North Carolina, like you said, just came out hot and just dominated.
They did, and you carry out there, and I mean, you got to at North Carolina, you got to be ecstatic that you beat the number 4 team in the country. There is a concerning part about this is that the Zags shot over 50% from the floor as well.
Exactly.
So I mean, there's something you could say, okay, the glass half full of this thing is that we beat a team that shot over 50% from the floor. The glass half empty is that we let a team shoot 50% from the floor, and you can't really win a whole lot of games doing that.
But when you look at that stat, and I don't know if you read it, but the 27-0 edge and second chance points.
That's huge. Wow.
Oh,
that's
my
insane.
Gosh, that's a huge number right there. I mean, that means you just dominated that portion of the game, and that really, when you look at the score, that had a lot to do with it. I mean, come on. The rebounding is ridiculous as well. I mean, so that goes to show you, even though they got completely dominated in some of these areas, they lose by 13, but North Carolina was just on. They were all over them, and it just seemed like they were destined to win that game.
That rebounding edge shows you that Carolina just outworked them.
Oh, without a doubt. Let's go to Old Dominion, man. They defeat number 25 Syracuse 68-62. This is a Syracuse team that, it's Syracuse. They seemed like they were on the bubble last year. They went 8-10 in the ACC play and got into the tournament and went all the way to the Sweet 16. So it's almost like Syracuse is playing in familiar territory. They're in the top 25. They fall out, but they have to figure this out, man, because just like I said, and the same that goes with Villanova, sometimes this team looks good, and then others, I'm like, what is going on?
Yep. Syracuse looks like it's going to be a streaky team this year. If they hit, they're gonna shoot from the perimeter. They're knocking them down. They're going to be good. If they're not knocking them down, they're pretty much going to lose that game, man. Old Dominion was led by a guy by the name of B.J. Stith, who most people probably haven't heard of, but he actually went into the halftime and had to he said I needed to apologize to my team for going scoreless and committing five turnovers. But he promised that coming out of the half and everything that he was going to step it up, and he did. Scored 18 points, going 10 of 11 from the foul line. So I mean, he began to knock down some shots there and really kind of put his team on his back and helped lead them to a victory. It was Old Dominion's first time beating a ranked opponent since VCU in 2014. But man, I think it comes down to Syracuse just being streaky. They only shot they went 33% from the 3-point line. They went 33% from the field and went 8 of 22 from the 3-point line. And the Syracuse team needs to knock down their threes to be able to win games.
And we'll talk about something else they need to start doing, making some free throws. So with that said, man, we went through the upsets. We went through some of these good games, the best games of the week.
Yep.
But we're 6 weeks through the current college basketball season. But with that said, and I know it's still early, man.
Yep.
But when you look at it, and I mentioned it earlier, what team should we be concerned about with the early season performance so far? And 3 teams really do it for me. And I got it. There's always 2 sides to a coin, but I'll harp on them. I'll let you go first, though.
All right, you want me to go first? All right, I got 2 teams there, and I know we talked about one of them a few minutes ago that maybe we're not really concerned about. And I am a little bit just because of the way they're losing these games. I am concerned about Villanova. They're coming off of the national championship. They still got a good squad. They got a good coach. They're going to be there in the end. They're going to make the tournament. Don't hear me saying they're not going to make the tournament. They're losing too many close games at this point in time. You lose those close games now. I don't know that you're not showing me that you're progressing and learning how to win those close games. I need you to start showing me something. You've played some tough competition in the first 6 weeks of this season. I get it. I'm not dismissing that at all. You're losing to good teams for the most part. I need you to show me that you can win these close games. That's what I need you to show me right now. You're getting ready to get in the conference play starting next month. Okay, but I'm looking for you to show me that you can win this close. Because if you can't win them now, I'm beginning to wonder about how you're going to do that come tournament time. You got some time to put it together, but you can do that. So that's my deal on Villanova. The other team is we haven't talked about a lot lately, which is a little bit concerning, and that's Kentucky. Kentucky's got a big matchup coming up this weekend as they're going to play UNC, but we're not hearing a lot from them. They got 2 losses on the season. Once again, it's not detrimental. It's not killing their season. They're still going to be there in the end. I'm looking for this Kentucky team to start making some noise.
Right. I would agree. That's another team I really just haven't even been thinking about, but I definitely would agree with you on that.
But see, isn't that the problem? We should be thinking about a Kentucky team.
No, exactly.
That's it.
That's why it drives.
We're not thinking about them. Why not?
Yeah, it hits home with me when you say that because I'm like, yeah, you have a point, man. Because Kentucky is a team that historically that we're like, okay, this Kentucky team, It's Kentucky. They're always some on your mind, like a Kansas or a Duke is this year.
Well, they came in with the number 2 recruiting class this year, so you're thinking, okay, immediately they're going to be good. Well, they're slow out of the gate.
No, exactly. So the 3 teams, because I had 3 that really do it for me. I'm looking at Gonzaga. To me, it looks like they're a very talented Gonzaga team, but it seems like what they had going on early in the season, they lost their defensive mojo, and I say that just simply because they outworked Duke. I mean, they completely had that game.
Yep.
But there's just some things that they've been winning off of defense, but these last 2 games that they've played against Tennessee and played against North Carolina that they've lost to good teams, don't get me wrong, but and maybe it's unfair to say this, but man, when you lost 2 straight games and you allowed North Carolina to score 100 points, which again, like I mentioned earlier, they haven't allowed that 100 plus points in regulation since 2007, which was a road loss against Virginia. So I just think that Gonzaga needs to regroup, continue to battle through some of these injuries that they're facing, but figure out how to actually win against some quality of opponents. I mean, obviously they have a good quality win against Duke, but man, some of these recent games to where you having a top 5, a top 10 team, or a top 2 team, whatever it is, they're losing these games, and that can be a snowball effect going through the season. But like I said, they're a talented team. I think they'll fight through this, but watch out, guys, because you just never know what's going to happen. But I'm also looking at UCLA. So when you're talking about the number 2 team in the recruiting class, I'm looking at a team that just lost to Belmont. This squad is a team with a top 3 recruiting class. Right. And obviously they can still win a weak Pac-12 conference. No doubt about that. But this team is struggling. And when it comes down to, they've only made 61.1% of their free throws on the season, which is horrible. It's like 355th or some crazy mess because we have so many basketball teams. They're that bad.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, when you're making 61% as a team, that's like, I mean, geez, maybe Shaquille O'Neal could do better than that. Probably not. But still, it's pretty bad, man.
Yeah.
So I think the UCLA Bruins, a lot of people, again, they're regrouping. They're going through a coaching change. They're reshuffling. They're doing a lot of things. But this is a team that still has a lot of talent. Yeah. But it's just not translating well right now on the floor. Another team we talked about recently in one of the games is, I'm rolling this conversation, and is Syracuse. The Syracuse Orange this season right now, they've won a quality win over Georgetown, but they've lost to UConn, Oregon, and Old Dominion now. So last season, like I talked about a little bit, they reached the Sweet 16 after only as an 11 seed. They secured 11 seed. They were floating around in the bubble. Should they get in? Should they not? They only went 8-10 in ACC play. And I know ACC is a powerhouse and a tough conference to win in. But 8-10, and then they went to the Sweet 16, which they seem to be floating around. But it's like, guys, you can't continue to do that to really position yourself. You can't continue to think you're going to go 8-10 and actually get in, because when it comes to Selection Sunday, at the end of the day, trying to get into March Madness is already tough. I mean, the field is large, obviously, but there's a lot of basketball teams. But, man, you don't have any guarantees when you do something like they did last year. If they do the same thing this year, again, you said they're a streaky team. If they do the same thing this year, they might not even get in. So they're going to have to really turn this thing around and try to get by once conference play starts. Try to do better than 8-10 this year.
Exactly. I agree. I'm with you on Syracuse.
Yeah, man. So let's give us the Week 7 preview, man. What we got coming up?
All right, man. So you got number 14 Buffalo going up against Syracuse. Syracuse is ranked number 25 today, but when a new AP comes out on Monday, they're obviously not going to be ranked. But anyway, so you've got Buffalo going up against the Syracuse team. Syracuse going to try to get back on track. Then you got number 11 Texas Tech that'll be going up against the number 2 Duke Blue Devils. Should be a really good game, really tough game there. Later on, Buffalo, number 14 in the country, will be going up against number 21 Marquette. You've also got number 12 North Carolina going up against number 19 Kentucky, which is sure to be a good game for us. And then you also have number 1 Kansas going up against number 20 Arizona State.
I like that, man. Keep in mind, guys, some of these rankings might change, and obviously Syracuse, like you said, will probably not be ranked. But, man, let's just for a quick second mention Buffalo. Sit here rolling, and they're undefeated right now, and they continue to win, and they got 2 big matchups. Even though Syracuse might jump out of the top 25, If they beat Syracuse, that's a big win. If
That's
they
still a
go on to
quality win,
beat
yep.
Marquette, that's another quality win. So this Buffalo team, again, we talked about them, I think, in our episode before last. They're a good team, and so they have a chance to make an early statement and continue to roll. And so that's a team I'm going to be watching this week.
Absolutely.
Brother, that brings us to the end of the episode, man. That does it for episode 15. I appreciate you jumping on. Thank you again for helping me fill that void in my heart by joining me today on the episode. I know I was kind of lost in the last episode, almost looking for my lost, like I lost my puppy or something, but I try to get through it, man. I really appreciate you jumping on. I like the back and forth that we have going on, but man, like I said, like always, I enjoyed it and I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, thank you very much. I appreciate it, man. It's been fun. It's been enjoyable, and looking forward to seeing how things roll out this week with some college sports.
Definitely. All right, guys, thank you so much for listening to episode 15 of the College Sports Hour. Make sure to check out and subscribe to the College Sports Hour, guys. Make sure you subscribe, follow us. We need it. We just need to keep the momentum going. Our podcast can be found on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Radio Republic, TuneIn Radio, on heroesmediagroup.com is who we do our podcasting through. We're on their platform. You can also find us at thecollegesportshour.com, which is our own website. Make sure to like and follow us on Facebook, guys, since we do a lot of Facebook Lives. Also visit our website at collegesportshour.com, where we continue the college sports conversation and post articles. We kind of slipped in that regard with all the snowstorm going on.
Yep.
We'll try to get stuff going back and posting more, guys, some conversational pieces. And I think that we've already touched on some points we can definitely translate into articles in this episode. But, guys, we want to give a special shout out to our family and friends, to include all our listeners, followers, and subscribers. Thanks for continuing to support us, guys. Thank you for letting us do what we do. And don't forget, guys, to join us next week for another episode of the College Sports Hour.